Hello, my name is M.W.Burnette. I am a home studio music producer, songwriter, and recording artist, and this is my video diary. So lately I've been talking about the album that I've been working on. It's entitled Porcelain, and the reason why is it refers to the nativity story. This is a Christmas album, but I'm intentionally avoiding the common Christmas tropes because I feel like they tend to, at least for me, they distract me from sort of the human elements of this story. I think that we have in our culture a tendency to put the people in the Christmas story up on a pedestal, and we can't relate to them anymore because we've idealized them and sanitized them to such a point. And so that's my point, is I want to show that these are not porcelain characters. They are flesh and blood like you and me, with the same kind of thoughts and fears and emotions and courage and victory and so on that we have, so that we can relate to them and so that we can learn from them. So today I'm talking about the wise men. And as I was approaching this song, what occurred to me about the wise men, they are assumed to have been astrologers. And the way that astrology works, as I understand it, is we know that the stars, or the patterns of the stars and the planets and so on and so forth that we can observe from Earth follow cyclical patterns, and they are predictable. And it's our solar system is like a giant clock, as all of these different planets rotate around the sun. They revolve around the sun at different velocities, and they line up at different places and so on and so forth, and the angle that we can view of them from the Earth changes as time goes by. But all of these events repeat, and so they form cyclical events. And so the way that I interpreted that for the wise men is that they have recognized this about the universe, and that shapes their worldview. They see reality as a sequence of repeating events. And the details may be a little bit different. And as astrologers, they believe that these events in the cosmos affect events down here on Earth. And if the events in the cosmos are cyclical, then the events on the Earth that are impacted by them are also cyclical. So their worldview, I deduced from that their worldview is such that they believe that the events that take place on the Earth are cyclical, that they are just repeating. And so once you get to the end of this sequence, it starts over, and it goes again until it gets back around. And so we're just in this sort of repeating narrative. And they felt like, because they understood that they had the ability to kind of predict what reality was going to be, because they know how that story goes. And it felt consistent. It felt reliable to them. But then you have the Jesus story, and there is something out of whack. This is an anomaly, and they recognize that. Is that in the midst of this universe that they felt like they understood and was predictable and dependable and so on, now all of a sudden something comes into that universe that doesn't belong there, and they don't know what to do about it. It messes with them. That's when Jesus' star arose. It totally subverted their entire understanding of the universe, because that just doesn't happen. And I think that it had to have that kind of impact for them, because otherwise, why would they pack up and travel across the desert not knowing where they're going and not knowing what's waiting for them when they got there, but just knowing that it was significant enough that it meant they had to just leave the world that they knew back where they were from and go see what was going on out there. And so I think about that, and it's like, what kind of earth-shattering event would it take in my life or in your life to convince you to do the same thing? Is to just, I've got to go. I've just got to get up and go. Do we have the sort of do we have that sort of faith? Are we open to that possibility that the world that we know, that we tend to think is predictable and that we understand? It's a scary notion that all of a sudden, just overnight, some new reality could come into our little sphere and turn everything upside down and just leave us kind of flailing, wondering where we are, what we're doing. Is everything that I've ever been taught just a lie? Have I lost my mind? So, got two crazy puppy dogs in here interrupting me. But so anyway, I guess there's not really an awful lot more to say about that. But yeah, I thought that was an interesting perspective to take, and it was something that was relatable. As we think that we understand the world, but we really don't, and unpredictable things can happen, and our situation can change, and when that happens, what is it that we're hanging on to? So, anyway, that's all I'm going to do for right now. Thank you once again for sticking around and listening, and I'll see you next time.